Or do you have to do clap again?
Yeah, we have to do the clap.
Camera started?
Yeah.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Mayday, Mayday, Happy Brownie here. Welcome back. Let's talk about loving ourselves in our 20s with my best friend, classmate, and partner in a lot of things that I have in Taiwan, Viviana.
Hey, I'm Viviana.
Thank you for being here. I would love for you to know more about us and what we've been through in Taiwan because we met in the university and we've been in a really, really, really hard and difficult journey. Do you remember how we first met?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, it was the first week of school. It was the French speaking test. And then you said behind me.
Right behind you.
Yeah.
You know, like I just entered the class and the first person that I saw in the first row, I was,
yeah.
I'm going there. I think she's something, you know, like she's not afraid. The only person in the first row.
Yeah.
I'm going.
That's so funny.
And then, yeah, it was crazy. We talked and it was so nice because at the beginning, like, my Chinese was really rusty. So you saw me and you were like, where are you from? Like right straight away.
I was like,
started speaking in English and I felt so, finally someone that actually cares.
Yeah.
And like, you know, your cheerful personality. So actually after the class, we just went to have dinner. We
started making plans the first time we saw each other.
Yes.
And we were like, let's do something.
Yeah. There's something I would like to mention. I thought you were a lesbian because for me,
story.
It was so weird to meet a Taiwanese person being very touchy and you were like,
I was not touchy.
Oh, you're so nice.
I was like, hey.
Where are you from? And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I saw your ID and you were in a relationship by then. Yeah, that is a funny story actually. I thought you were queer. I thought you were very open, but that's the complete opposite.
I was like, hey, girl.
You were like, hey, girl.
No, I was not like that.
No, you were not like that.
But you said that because I thought you were like lower back or something.
Yes, you touched me and for me it was so weird. Like I'm used to that with my girlfriends back in my country, but in Taiwan, it was the first time that I saw someone doing that, right? That's how our relationship started. The thing that I love the most about our relationship is that we connected so fast because we could talk about everything.
We're comfortably enough to talk about like all the topics.
Like all the topics. And that's how I started. It was really fast. Like all the things you can imagine possible talking about with a friend, we did that in the first week.
All the kinds of things.
We connected so fast and we're so different.
Yeah,
we're so different.
Like completely different.
We have many different thoughts and ideas and ways of seeing life, but that's what I like also about ourselves, that we can learn from each other.
Yeah, or also our cultural background differences.
Yes. And we've changed so much, right?
Yeah.
I remember the first moment I saw you, you were this really open, cheerful, but a little bit shy, Taiwanese. Yeah, if you want to put a name to it, I would say a little bit naive, but not really naive. You were not exposed to any other culture but your own, but you were so eager to learn. You were asking me so many questions about my culture, many questions about the way we express love. And for me, it was so beautiful because it was so like, this is normal for me in my country. We've never talked about why you do this, you know?
You're already used to that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what do you think when you first met me?
I think it was very interesting because the first thing I asked you when you told me that you're from Peru.
Yes.
And I was like, I saw the documentary on the National Geography. I think it was like that on the YouTube channel. Isn't that your airport is like a Lima airport? And is that like the biggest drug trafficking airport or something? And I was like, I remember that.
I laughed so bad. I was like, is that the concept that Asian people have about my country?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, Viviana.
I was like, have you ever tried? No. I was like, isn't that something called like cocaine or something? It was like cocaine or something. Because that was like something like repeatedly was saying in that documentary. And I actually really, it was an interesting documentary. And then I was just in the Lima airport. And that's the first thing I know about Latin America and like Peru country.
Yes, that's true.
And so that was my first impression of you. And I asked you that question. And then you were
that
like,
I come from a really dangerous place where everyone is
inhaling
cocaine.
Like,
oh my god, so
do you have that in your house? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, is your brother a dealer?
Yeah, I was like, has your family ever been to jail because of drug trafficking?
Bro,
yeah,
that's the biggest stereotype, you know, like the biggest I've ever heard. But I was like, no, that doesn't happen really often.
Yeah. And you're also the first Latino friend I've ever had.
Yeah,
in my
how do you
life.
feel about that actually? Because
I was really into because you're so different. Because I never met, like, even I have like foreign friends. a lot of foreign friends when I'm growing up, but none of them expressed love like you did or anyone.
So what do you think about
I think it was just really interesting and then really cool that made me like, it's just fascinating. I was like, how can you do this? Why are you so comfortable expressing love? And then like you just like kiss me and like hug me and like every time you see me you're like, and then I never met anyone that does that, so I was like, this is very interesting, and then I want to understand your culture more, and that's like my first thing was like,
you were asking
Latin American people, so cool. Wow.
Yeah, but from the first moment we met until now, it's just crazy how much we've both changed, right? This girl, you were the one, and I think the first Asian person that I can say I have influenced my Latin American culture on like so much. Like the first time we party, crazy.
From like saying hi to each other and then like bachata and everything.
Exactly, like I loved it. I loved it. You were so open and you liked it so much
learn.
Because you wanted to, because you felt like, you know what I feel actually, that you felt from that exact moment that, oh my gosh, like I'm a part Latina because I love this.
It was just really fascinating, like your culture and how everything you do is very different than what I've learned and very different than Asian culture.
Yeah, that is what we started to talk more about feelings, remember?
Yeah.
That is how our more deep conversation started. And for me, I think from my culture, it's so important to open up and to be more vulnerable and to let yourself just communicate what you're feeling that moment, especially with friends. That I think that for me, being so far from my friends, from my like high school friends and my family was really important. And to make the first contact in Taiwan, really deep contact with you was so cool. So how do you first feel when we started to open up?
Yeah, it was very cool because in Taiwan, I have Taiwanese friends and they don't talk about their feelings as much as we share with each other. And then not even my family. We don't always talk about. Yeah, at least in my family, we don't always talk about feelings. And I think I have to learn how to deal with those yourself. And I think with Taiwanese people, you don't really... How do you feel about... Nobody ever asked me, how do you feel about this? Like something happened and then maybe they will ask you, are you happy? Or like, yeah, I think this is good. They give you like suggestions and stuff, but they don't really like will ask you like, how do you feel about this? What's your feeling?
It was really hard for me to accept that and realize that. But you know, in our 3 years of friendship, you've learned from me, I've learned from you, and you've learned to comfort me. And I'm so glad to have you as a friend.
Me too.
That's why you're here, and we're starting to talk about love and feelings and self-love, because that is something we've learned a lot throughout these years, right?
Yeah,
like
definitely.
This whole like process of learning to love yourself and trying to understand what is love. Like, what do you think about it?
I think I definitely start getting to know myself a lot more, like when I start college, when I move away from the house and then I have to live alone and I have to do everything by myself, and I have to, especially when I have to spend a lot of time with myself, because when you're at home, you have your family, you talk to them, and then you feel like it was your comfort zone, so you don't really feel like thinking a lot. But like in college, when I just like I got home and I have to do a lot of thinking and get to know myself and spend a lot of time with myself.
Do you feel like it's something like you Taiwanese people struggle with Asian culture
to talk about our feelings? I think it would definitely be easier with friends, with like really close friends. With family, I think not so much. I never really talk about my feelings with my family, talk about like my relationship and stuff. But I think before I was 20, and then after I was going through a lot of things, I think you reach a certain maturity. I feel like that what can you ask with your mom, or like, and what when they say something and then you can recognize if you want to take that part or not. And then like when you reach a certain age, I feel like you can make more proper decisions and you start talking about it more.
I remember that we started to talk about feelings because you were in a relationship, right?
Yeah.
And at that moment, I never experienced myself one.
Yeah, you know.
But you were there in this whole process of me getting hurt and me falling in love.
And you were there for my first heartbroken.
Exactly. I think that's the breaking point of friendships, you know? Because yes, like you can experience beautiful moments of happiness, but when you're there and see each other in their worst, and then you just hold their hand, like I've seen you bad, you've seen me really bad. Yeah, and then having conversations over and over again. You get tired of it, but
you have to like sort it out in your head. That's why you keep asking what, and it's really nice you have the friend next to you that won't get tired and you keep asking the same question and they will keep answering the same thing, but just because you need to sort them out in your head by yourself.
Exactly.
That's what we did to each other.
How do we first actually start talking about self-love and especially love for ourselves? Do you remember?
I think with you, definitely was because my first breakup, and then you were there. And then I was here because I didn't have my old friends.
And also because you like me, right? Because
Yeah.
otherwise...
No, actually, that's the bottom line.
Yes, like, I didn't like you. But...
Thank you for saying that. No, because I already know you're the one that we can talk about a lot of things. Because before my breakup, we already start talking about a lot of things about like our feelings and everything. So I know like I can come to you to talk about my feelings. At that time.
So was it with your first heartbreak that you started to find yourself again?
Yeah, that was the beginning. Because when we broke up, I found myself really lack of confidence. It's something that's really hard to recover from. Like I think I spent a long time to recover from the lack of confidence. Yeah, and I was just feeling like I wasn't enough and keep asking myself questions. And I feel like I didn't believe myself at all after the breakup. I was like, did I make a good decision? Or like, was any of my life choices good enough? Or am I good enough? It was so hard. And I was very sad.
We kind of lost ourselves a little bit in a relationship, and especially the first one, right?
Yeah. It was my first love, first relationship, first serious relationship. And you were there to see all that.
There was a point, remember, that I think it got really a little bit
because
dark.
I kept asking you questions. I remember I kept asking you why. Like the questions that you cannot answer me because there's no answers.
Sometimes you don't need those answers because you have it in yourself, right? But you need to ask them because you need to hear it from someone else.
So I would just keep asking those questions, but not really to find an answer, but like to sort out everything in my head. Yeah. That's why I keep saying, repeating the same thing, asking the same questions. And then you were just like very patient there for me.
Always.
And when I come to my house and when I'm sad and you're like encourage me and like support me, saying all these beautiful things. Like you love me so much or something. And
I was like, you can do this.
Yes, you're so strong.
You can do this.
You're the strongest woman.
You did the same because I need to mention this. It was so beautiful. I was so proud of you actually, even when I was so fucking heartbroken the first time. You left post-its, and you know that I love post-its in my wall. When you came here after that night that I called you, and you came and you left post-its like saying the most beautiful and encouraging words that I felt so like, wow, this is love, and I really loved it. But part of that heartbreak in your case, there was a moment, remember, that it got a little bit dark and I couldn't do. I felt that I was not prepared, to help you, or that you needed more help from someone that it was very professional. And I remember, please, Viviana, go to this psychologist.
Yeah, you sent me the link from line. Like I found this, like you just go and it's really easy. Just register on it, like put your name, like please do it. And I dragged for like few weeks until like the moment.
It was months.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, you dragged it for months.
I know. I was like, I don't need it, but I was really sad. I was like in a really bad place, and I was like dragging for months, apparently. And then one day I realized, no, I really need help. I really need professional help. And
I felt so proud.
I went back to the chat and was like, where is it? I registered, and then I started seeing the therapy, like the
but that's what friends are for. I was so willing to wait, and I knew that it was not me pushing you. It was me mentioning it, so you know that it is okay to do that. Yeah. Because I've done it, and it's normal to look for professional help when you need it, Yeah. Friends are so good. They're important, but we don't have all the answers.
Like real friends are the one that would tell you to go to therapy, go to psychiatrist. Like you need this. Like go, Viviana. You're like this. Like please just go. You need this. Yeah. And then I was there for like a few months, and it helped because I was talking about everything, even though they didn't give me an answer, but I was like also sorting in my head, and I understand it better. I understand my situation better, and because when you're going through a breakup, you're literally like fighting in your head. Just like it's all horrible. The thoughts you're fighting of like regrets and like I was right, and then like lack of confidence, and everything was fighting in your head, and then you don't know what to do. And then when you're talking with someone professional, and then you can just sort it out and like understand what you actually think better. And I think that's really important. So thank you for doing that.
So your journey with self-love started with this big heartbreak, right?
Yeah. I think I would say like till now, it was like the worst time of my life going to go through that breakup. When I come here, and then I had a boyfriend, and then even though we're long distance relationship, but we still talk to each other, and I don't feel alone, of course, but when you're in a relationship, and then I get to know friends like you guys here. When the relationship ended and I feel like completely alone, when I go back to my house, there's no one. I think this breakup may also make me realize that I'm not very good with being with myself. I feel like I always need to have someone there. I feel like when he left me, I feel like he was maybe my whole world. And I shared, it was the first relationship, of course. And it was a really nice relationship, and it was 2.5 years. So when the relationship ended, I feel like my whole world collapsed. And I didn't have anyone, and I was alone in this world completely. Afterwards, I feel like I'm really grateful for having gone through that breakup.
Yes.
Because it actually made me realize a lot. And that's also when I started to realize that I need to love myself. I didn't love myself enough.
I think that part hits you hard when you have to admit to yourself that the love that you have is enough for others, but not for yourself. And you have to start like asking yourself, why do I see myself so little? And why do I love others so hard? What am I lacking of? And admitting that is really painful. I'm also grateful that I've experienced 3 heartbreaks.
It's true. If you're going through a heartbreak, you might think you're not gonna get through. I actually didn't think I will get through that. It was so hard
to remind you that
yes,
it is possible, even if I didn't experience
it. You kept telling me that there's like one day will pass, it's gonna be okay, you're strong enough to go through this. I didn't believe myself at all. You kept telling me that. I remember every time I come to you and say that I'm sad, I know I can do this, I cannot do this, how is this hurting so much? And then you're to tell me like it's okay, like I will be able to get through this. And right now I'm looking back, I'm really grateful that having gone through that.
Yes, of course. And I think that because we love each other, like the other person so much, and even family members, because my first heartbreak was not a romantic relationship, was more like a family situation, right? Because I think sometimes how we value and perceive ourselves shouldn't be affected by others at all. And that happens when you're in a relationship and when you experience something.
And when you're young, you're in a relationship for a long time, your first relationship, and you kind of just rely everything on the other person. Yeah. I think this is where I realized, actually, recent years, I feel like I was relying on him to get to know myself, to know myself. I just realized like a few months ago. The relationship ended like 3 years ago, but right now I'm thinking, at that time I was young, and that was my first relationship, and I think it hit me so hard. Also, one of the reasons because I rely on him so much to get to know myself. I feel like he left me. Now I cannot get to know myself anymore. I don't know myself. I cannot learn anything anymore.
It's like you were being shaped by him, right? Wow.
I think that's like we all shape each other when we were in the relationship, definitely. But it's just harder because I was young and I was just start growing. And I was so scared that I won't be able to recognize myself after he left. So that's also when I realized I don't love myself enough. I don't know myself enough, and I think that's when I know that I need to learn to have a good relationship with myself. I think also that relationship made me understand, because I was so sad of being alone, and that made me understand that the fear of being alone is what I'm lacking of when I was in a relationship. I didn't learn how to understand myself if it wasn't through other people, like what you said. And then I think that's very important, that we have to learn to be alone, to have a relationship with ourselves, and then that's when you start loving yourself.
Yeah, that's the first step, right? Like learning how to love yourself first. And even if you're still in the process of that, like I've met a lot of people, you don't have to be completely ready and completely healed after you've been heartbroken or after you've discovered that you're lacking of something, right? But it is important to recognize and to put boundaries as how to manage those feelings when you're in a relationship. And especially as we grow up, we learn more and more of what we want and what we don't.
Yeah.
And heartbreaks is just a way of learning that. And but so many people, they're like, oh yeah, I'm in a relationship, that's so cool. What did you learn from that? I always ask them that. Like, what do you learn? If they cannot give me an answer, it's because you're not learning. You're just having these crazy experiences that are cool. And that's completely okay with our age. But I think taking care more of ourselves is very important, especially because this is all we have, ourselves. Even if we love other people and other people love us so much, at the end, we just have ourselves.
Yeah. That's also what I realized when I had this breakup, that we only have ourselves. It's like unavoidable to be alone, and if you cannot do that, you're gonna have a hard life. and you're gonna constantly be heartbroken.
Yes.
Because people is gonna come and go.
Exactly. They come and go. And especially you attract what you are. And I feel like if you work on yourself so much to the point that I want this for my life, you will have it. And if you just cultivate yourself, you will eventually blossom, as I've seen you blossom. Just this journey of self-love is hard. I'm still in the process. I don't know how you feel.
Especially when you're 20, you kind of know what you're doing and kind of know what you want.
You have no idea.
But at the same time, you don't know. You don't know at all.
And it is okay to fuck up. It is okay to have your mistakes and get your heart broken. I think we're just learning from that. That doesn't mean that you cannot do better. When you learn and you realize something as you did, that will make you and the next person you're with more happy.
Yeah. I think that's one of the benefits. I mean, you will realize long after, but one of the benefits, like having gone through a heartbreak, you really get to know yourself more.
Yes.
And then you learn how to love yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. This whole process of loving yourself, it is just beautiful. I've discovered so many parts that maybe I don't like, but I have to, at the end, you have to accept of you. And for me, it is so hard because even if we're talking about this right now, I think like other people suffer the same, but they don't have anyone to talk about it with, especially in Asia, in Taiwan, in this society. Maybe they don't even know what is self-love, self-esteem, you know? They don't know because there's so many beauty standards, there's so many stereotypes, there's so many people that tell you how you should be so other people can love you. But you have to first love yourself so you can love other people because everything starts within you. And everything starts with taking the first step of maybe accepting like, why do I see myself in this way? It's so hard.
It's so hard to love. That's why it's so hard to love ourselves in your 20s. Maybe not even your 20s.
No.
You just, the 20 is when you started.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think when you start like getting through this breakup, and then for me, I really think that you'll be happy for the other person. You wish them the happiest, and then you will always love them. And then that's when also like, oh, now I can love myself. And then you like,
I don't need that. I don't need that kind of like.
So like I will make it peace, and then
you make peace with
I hope
it,
you're the happiest, and then like give you all the best. Like
I think that's a really important and mature step. Not only to accept it, but just to express it as you just did. I think that's very important. And I always wish people that I've loved before the best because I do think they deserve it. And even though it was hard and I was hurt and we were both hurt, the whole process of loving yourself, even when you're in a relationship, romantic relationship, friendship, because friendship is... Unfortunately, you experience a heartbreak too when you lose a friend. It's really hard and it's painful. But everyone that you meet in your life, there's a reason for it. And everyone that was there, even for a short period or a long period, and then you lose them, you feel you're losing a part of yourself because you invested so much time in them. But after that, after they leave your life, you start to understand that there's still so many people you will able to love. And if you start loving yourself and deeply
the right people will always come to you.
The right people will always come, and that happened with friends and like relationships and everything. Like maybe it was a beautiful time. We had it.
Yeah.
I loved you so much, and
we had a great time.
We had a beautiful roller coaster of emotions, and that's it.
Yeah, but also at the end, you always come back to yourself.
Exactly. That's what you just mentioned about like, oh, I was liking that. I think you were not liking, but you gave it to him and you thought that person was the only person you could give love to. But then when you fall in love again, you realize all the love that you gave was not from the other person, but from within you. And you're like, wow, I have this capability of loving someone, and that is beautiful.
You can always have this capability to do this
exactly again, because love,
or even better,
love doesn't disappear. It just is shaped and it comes back and it's flowing, and it hurts the most not because you are like completely erasing that love. It just hurts the most because you have no one to give it to at that moment. But then you have friends, and you find new friends, and you meet new people, and you're like,
and also yourself.
Exactly.
When they leave, then you the love that you gave them, just give it back to yourself. You know, that's when you have to really start loving yourself and really understand what you're lacking of, understand why you're sad, understand what you need, and then what my heart wants.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah, not just that person just he left, and then you feel like, oh, so like my heart just like there's a hole, but you need to like fill it up with your love of loving yourself.
I think that's so beautiful, and I'm so happy we're just sharing this because so many people maybe are experiencing the same, and they feel so lonely after a heartbreak. They don't really understand. They feel like lonely and lacking love for themselves. And
but you're not lonely.
You're not lonely. You're never alone.
Everyone
We've experienced that too. And
it's a part of your life.
And especially maybe you didn't experience a heartbreak, but you were like just struggling with self-love and self-esteem. Just to know that we all experience that at some point, and you're brave if you talk about it, and you're brave if you don't, and you just keep it to yourself. I just hope you have a friend that you can talk to. And I need to share this just to end with this episode, that since we met, like little by little, you started to add more feelings to every like letter you wrote to me, right? And I was every time like, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. It's so beautiful to be loved by you, really, as a friend.
Oh, I learned that from you. The love that you gave me and I reciprocated. And I was like, I was like, the love that you gave was so strong and so beautiful, and I want to do that to other people.
Oh.
And I was like, I want to learn how to do that. And I started to maybe love like you, love like Dana. I started to like hug my friends and like kiss my friends. I would just kiss my friends, like Taiwanese friends. We're not that like comfortable of sharing physical love. Yeah. So sometimes I would just want to hug them. And then now I would just...
Thank you for being here. Would you like to say something?
I think I would like to say this to end this podcast.
Yes.
I think loving ourselves in our 20s is definitely hard, because a lot of us start loving other people before we start to learn how to love ourselves. But you have to understand that only by loving yourself can you recognize the right way to love and the way that you deserve to be loved.
Oh,
I think it's very important.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you, all of you. I hope you like this episode. Let's say thank you to Viviana, and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, love. Let's clap.
Oh, for sure.
It feels good.
No, I really like the part that you said you didn't say the last time. Oh, the love that didn't disappear. But like